Here we go. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Lipedema Wellness Conversations with Gail. That's me and my friends. That would be Bryan. Today, we're going to talk to Bryan Hayward. Bryan is a CBD consultant for Lipedema Simplified. And he has been working with us for almost a year now. Before we get started, there's a couple of house cleaning things I want to do. I don't know, house cleaning is the wrong word because I don't house you know, I just am not a very good house cleaner. However, there are some things I want you to think about during today's broadcast. First of all, I see Marilee. Hi, Marilee. She is from Chehalis, Washington, right here in the United States, just west of me. I'm here in the Boise, Idaho area. But I want to make sure that everybody knows that we love to get hearts if you're on Facebook, and if you're on YouTube, we love to get the thumbs up, because those hearts and those thumbs up, they give us more action on our page. And so it's going to make it quicker and easier for other people to find us. The other thing I want you to do is I want you to take the chance just to drop your, put where you're coming from today so I can reach out and say hi to you, because I love seeing our guests. There you go. I got a thumbs up. That's awesome. Somebody listened to me. Anyway, so I want to introduce Bryan Hayward. He is a CBD consultant with us here at Lipedema Simplified. He's been working with us since the end of 2021. And he did something really simple. He held what we call a fireside chat with us. It was a webinar type situation, and we all of a sudden realized we could look into CBD as being a helpful treatment to help lower pain. And so with that, Bryan, I would love for you to share a little bit about how you discovered CBD had some impact on your life.
Okay, thanks. Thanks for the introduction, Gail. It's nice to be here with everybody. I first heard about CBD because for years and years, I don't know, the hands look kind of ugly. I've got pretty severe arthritis in my hands and pretty significant arthritis in my hips and shoulders and knees. And, those conditions have kept me from doing the things that I want to do, some really simple, basic things in life, like being able to open up a jar, those kinds of things. And it's a little embarrassing to have to ask other people, like my grandkids, to open things for me or to do something for me that I used to be able to do, but I can't do anymore. And so, or at least I couldn't. So my primary care physician is at Mass General, and I go to Mass General in Boston, which is a well-known hospital. And so I was sent to the arthritis expert there. And the thing he told me was that my hands were as bad as anything he'd ever seen in his practice, which didn't make me real happy. But he said the good news about that is that it probably won't get any worse. And it got worse anyway, but it did. I was surprised. Come on. So anyways, I get flare-ups. I think I've heard some of the lipedema community people talk about getting flare-ups from their inflammation-based pain. And I think that my flare-ups are also from inflammation. I never knew that food had an effect on my inflammation. I didn't. The doctor told me that the fact that I was taking 3 or 4 ibuprofens at a time, 3 or 4 times a day for fairly long lengths of time, he told me that if I continued to do that, I would destroy my stomach. And so it really was not an option, except in just very short periods of time for heavy pain. And Tylenol, same thing, ruined my liver. So and narcotics, I'm just unwilling to take them. So it's kind of left me out on a limb because there was no solution at all from what I could see to the pain that I was living in. And my daughter, who's a midwife, knew a nurse who had been recommending CBD to her clients who had pain. And I tried it and it worked right away. I was like,
You
very,
say it worked right away.
yeah.
You
What
so
happened is,
so explain,
yeah,
how did you said you tried it and it worked right away. What did you
that was
try?
a shock. That there's two things generally that I found in the CBD world. One is to put a salve on your hands or a liniment, and that I got that right away. And that when I rubbed
Oh, Brian, I think that you're frozen. Or am I frozen? If you're out there, tell me which one is frozen because I see my ticker type going. I think, have we lost you, Brian? Oh, so, Catherine, I think you're out there. Can you tell me whether or not you see me? Put in the chat who you see going, me or Brian. Okay. Well, I'm going to continue as Brian, as we get back together. Hopefully, there I am. Okay. Hopefully, Brian will be back in a minute. So this happens sometimes. We have one of us gets kicked off the broadcast, and as Catherine put in the comments, Brian's frozen, and now we've lost Brian. Hopefully, he'll get back on right away here. But as before he gets on, I want to talk to you about something that we're doing right now that's very exciting. Um, we have a community. Um, it's a membership with Lipedema Simplified. We call it Tribe, and we have opened Tribe right now after our 3-day event that we had last, let's see, not this past weekend, but the weekend before. And we have Tribe open again. It's going to remain open through Thursday. And I'm going to go ahead and put that across the bottom so that you can see what it is. Um, it is an organization. It's a group of us who have the membership with Lipedema Simplified, and it's full of wonderful women who get together and oh, it's Catherine. I think I've changed guests. Welcome, Catherine. Anyway, so the women are actually members of I guess our membership community. We have things, we have fireside chats, we have events, we have courses, we have um there it is. Thank you.
that
We
man disappeared. Oh my
this
God.
Catherine left me again. Okay, we had a fireside chat one time in Tribe, and who showed up was Bryan Hayward. And now we have Bryan Hayward who showed back up here. He was in the middle of his story. But before that goes, we just want you to know that the tribe is open again until Thursday. Today's Tuesday. That's 2 more days, right? And so if you want more information about tribe while we wait for Bryan to um,
Coffee.
get everything put back together and finish up his story, I will put that in the comments. But if you have always wanted a place to belong, if you have always wanted a group of like-minded folks to hang out with and learn as much about lipedema as you possibly can learn, if you have ever wanted to have an exercise class that happens 5 days a week from your own home with other people who have lipedema, maybe, just maybe, Tribe is the place for you to go. So give, click on that link that I put in the comments and see if it's a place that you want to register for. So yeah, we're we're covering for time now because Bryan took a leap. But anyways, he's back.
Off the
I'm
face.
so glad. But I'll tell you more about the tribe in a little bit. So
All right.
um so I see something. I see something right here, and I'm going to pull it up. And I just want you to know, Bryan, I'm going to have you tell your story here in a minute,
Okay.
but I'm going to show this. Terrence Sugalski, please listen to this with your wife. Here you go, Julie. Thank you for telling Terrence and his wife to listen to this.
Oh, for God's sake.
Okay.
Thank
Um,
you.
okay,
You need
everybody.
all the publicity we can get, huh? Okay.
Yeah, so Robin Hoffman is in Cambridge, Massachusetts. She said you
Oh,
looked frozen. And we have a Facebook user from Toledo. We have Mara Lee from Washington State. Anybody else out there who's hanging out with us today, please feel free to, put your location in there so we can say hi. Bryan was in the middle of telling everybody that his hands were the worst arthritic hands the doctor had seen, and that he immediately found relief from pain by using CBD. Catherine
yeah.
says me.
Yeah.
Hi, Catherine. So anyway,
Yeah.
so Bryan,
Yeah.
that's where you left off. I
Yes.
don't know where you thought you left off, but that's
No,
where you left off with me. But
okay.
go ahead and tell us the rest of your story.
All right. Sorry for the interruption, folks. Uh, what happened for me was that a nurse friend of my daughter had recommended that I try CBD for my arthritis in my hands and other parts of my body. And the immediate relief was when I put a salve. I got there's a couple of different ways to get CBD into your system. One is to put a salve on you right wherever it hurts. And within like 10 to 15 minutes, my pain dropped way down, and it hadn't done that in forever. And so I was pretty shocked at that and excited. I also had ordered a tincture from this supplier who came recommended to me. And the tincture was more of something to take every day, a couple times a day, to get into my system, kind of like any other kind of like ibuprofen or Tylenol, but the CBD seemed to last all day long. And I would take it in, and they encouraged me to take it every day and not off and on, because I needed to build up a level of CBD in my overall system, and that it would make things better for me. And it made another significant jump in the amount of pain that I had. And I've actually, I'm able to do things now that I couldn't do before, which is really exciting. It isn't completely gone away, and I do get flare-ups now and then, but it's been really helpful.
It sounds like it really made a difference in your life,
Mm,
to the point where you had to find out why it worked.
right.
You're I haven't let people know yet, but Bryan is a retired chemical engineer, and so he's used to researching. He's used to finding out why certain chemical compounds work together and why they don't. And so, from everything that I understand from what Bryan's told me, is that he has been able to discover why CBD works for certain things. And so, Bryan, can you give a quick explanation as to, I think you call it entourage
Entourage
effect?
effect.
Will you
Yeah,
explain the
entourage.
entourage effect
Sure.
for
She said
us?
she said short because I sometimes go for like 15 minutes on it, and she has to go, Bryan, stop. But
I
anyway,
don't do that. Yes, I do.
I get too much into the details, but the entourage effect is the effect that CBD comes from the cannabis plant, and a cannabis plant that is bred to make lots of THC is called marijuana. A plant that's bred to the same plant, cannabis, bred to be almost no THC, as little THC as you could possibly get, is called hemp. And so CBD is made from hemp, and it has a minute amount of CBD, nothing that would affect you.
You mean a minute amount of THC?
I'm sorry, did I say?
Yeah, you said CBD.
Okay, so
Yeah.
yeah,
No, I just want to make sure that I
yeah,
heard
so,
you.
yeah, yes, it has an enormous. It has a lot of CBD in it and very little THC, which is the ingredient that gets people high. So, what the plant did, plant's been around for millions of years, and what it has done over those millions of years is develop ways to protect itself from outside elements, and which is why it's lasted so long in the environment. It's a very old plant, and the different compounds, there's maybe 100 different cannabinoids. CBD is a cannabinoid, and there's 100 more besides CBD that are also helpful in the plant. And there's also lots of other compounds in there, terpenes they're called, and flavonoids, and all these different compounds that the plant has used to build up against attack from the outside. And it happens to work really well with human beings also. And so I only deal with what's called full spectrum CBD, and that's from the whole flower. If the CBD that anybody happens to be purchasing, whether it's from me or anybody else, if it doesn't say full spectrum, then it's an isolated kind of molecule thing, and it's generally not particularly effective. So a lot of people try CBD, and for one reason or another, it doesn't work for them. And often it's because an awful lot of the CBD that's sold on the internet and through stores is not labeled correctly and is not full spectrum CBD. So it's very important to get full spectrum, very important to get organic. I only deal with full spectrum organic CBD, and I only deal with farmers that I've met and that I've been to their farm. So I work right now with two farmers, one in Massachusetts, which is the state that I live in, and one in Vermont, which is a state right beside us. So, and I interview other farmers, but these two farmers, I know them well, I trust them, and they produce the product the way it should be done. So there's a lot of things that you can do to CBD that make it quicker to produce and cheaper to produce, but that drive off a lot of the compounds and make it ineffective. So that's why a lot of people buy CBD thinking they're getting something that will help them, and it doesn't.
Right. I know that I've tried CBD in the past, and I realized after I have been talked to you, I realized why CBD probably wasn't effective for me. One CBD helped me sleep better, but when I looked at the ingredients, it contained melatonin. So that tells me that makes me wonder, was it the CBD or was it the melatonin,
Right.
right? And then there was another CBD I tried, like a salve, and I realized that the ingredient that was with that particular CBD is something like you would have in salon paws. It has those same ingredients. And so I really got to looking at it, and I'm thinking, I'm paying CBD prices for melatonin, and I'm paying CBD prices for salon paws when really I should be paying the other prices, right? So
Right.
when you're looking at CBD, how do you know that it's a good product?
Right. There's a few things, and it's not a lot of things. It's just a few. It should say on the label, full spectrum CBD. It should also say on the label that it's either USDA certified or state certified. Like in Massachusetts, USDA doesn't certify organic production. The state of Massachusetts inspects farms, and the USDA approves Massachusetts methods of inspecting farms and making sure it's a quality product. So You want to see those two things. So it should say organic, certified organic. It should say full spectrum CBD. And then the next thing that I think is really important to have on the label is the farm that the product comes from. The reason for that is there's an enormous volume of CBD on the market. 70% of all the CBD sold on the market comes from countries that do not have regulations on how they produce the CBD. And the problem with that is it's frequently contaminated with heavy metals or pesticides, and you really won't know it. So an awful lot of the products that are being purchased in the United States have these kinds of contaminations in them. So you're taking a product that isn't really particularly safe. So I put the farm that the product's made from on the labels. And so anytime you look at a label, you should be able to say, oh, it came from, Western Mass hemp farm. You should know where it came from. So those three things are really important.
And with that, can you, I'm going to put your email right across the bottom here so that people can take a look. If they have questions, they can email you. Right. And also, I'm going to put your information in the chat. I guess it's in the comments, so that they can also just click on the link in that if they want to contact you and ask you questions about CBD. But with that, can you tell us what type of results some of the people that you work with have found with really simple CBD products? Because when I think about the products that you recommend, I mean, they have like CBD in a carrier oil, or CBD and as a basic part of a salve. There's not a lot of extra ingredients. Can you tell us what type of results people have had with that?
Sure. Yeah. When I first met Catherine, in a entrepreneurs group that we were both in, and she was talking about lipedema, which I had never heard of. And that it seemed to be a lot of the problem, that the pain situation with lipedema comes from an inflammation problem. And the inflammation in my hands and the rest of my body is what got solved by CBD. So I was kind of hoping that CBD might help, because the description of what people with lipedema go through is a lot worse than what I've had to go through. And so I am happy to get phone calls. Please give me a buzz or send me an email and get in touch with me. I also have a Calendly account where you can set up a 20-minute free session with me to talk about and learn about yourself and how CBD might work. But anyways, please get in touch with me that way. I forgot what the key question was.
What was the question? That's funny. The question was, what type of results have you seen from not just yourself, but from other people in the lipedema community or their spouses and things like that? Can you tell us what kind of results they've seen?
Well, there's probably, 60 or 70 people from the lipedema community who have tried the CBD from me, and I talk with them generally on a pretty regular basis. And usually the problem that people have is they're very sensitive to the touch on their legs and different parts of their body, and it's very painful. And many of them will put the salve, the liniment that we use, on their skin and just rub it in wherever the pain is. And a lot of the ladies have problems with arthritis in their joints because of the inflammation from the lipedema. And so that's a big problem for a lot of the ladies too, is a lot of ladies suffer from arthritis. So when they began to try this, quite a number of the ladies, I didn't realize it even when I was talking to them, that they were actually bedridden or in a wheelchair. One of the first ladies I talked to said that she hadn't been out of the house in months because she was afraid to go out because she didn't know if she could get back in. And so that's the experience of quite a number of the ladies that I've talked to. And it doesn't work the same for everybody. Some people it works a little bit, some people it works really well. So I don't mean to say that it works really well for everybody, but there's a number of ladies who have told me that they are walking now and they weren't walking before. And they're absolutely convinced it's from the use of the CBD. I am too, because the CBD is very effective at some very specific things that appear to be the problem with lipedema pain cause, and that is that inflammation in the body. And so one of the ladies said that she now goes out in the car. She had not driven in a car in like years. And she goes, she's free to go out in the car and do shopping. She's maybe not running around, but, and a number of ladies have told me that, not just one or two, but a number of ladies have told me that they've gone from not getting out of bed, not getting out of a wheelchair, or just in pain all the time. And for some of the ladies, it's completely gone. And for most of the ladies I talk to, it's significantly better. Pretty much everybody talks about living a better life now because of this. So I'm pretty excited about that, because that's a big part of my life, is to be caring for others,
Right.
And so it's
Well,
a very important thing.
I know that I sleep better. And I know that my Aunt Sandy, she doesn't like to go without it because she knows that her back feels better. She doesn't use it to treat lipedema, but she does use it to help with her back. And I also know that I'm a little bit of a rogue, and I have contact dermatitis. I always tell Bryan on my finger.
Yeah.
I kept getting these blisters across the top of my finger right here, and I took a chance, and I actually opened one of the capsules, and I put a little bit right here because I knew it wouldn't hurt me, right? And I put it there before I went to bed, and they were gone in the morning. And so whatever the contact dermatitis, the inflammation, the blisters that I had right here, it took care of it. And I have only had to treat my finger like twice in the last 6 months. But it's something that I used to just scratch. I was always itching for so long. But for whatever reason, whatever little compound was in it at that time, whether it was just simply the CBD or if it was because it was full spectrum, it really helped. But I take it for as a bedtime. It's bedtime help, and there's no melatonin in it,
Right.
which is good because I had nightmares with melatonin. So if you guys have any questions that you would like to ask Bryan or me, throw them in the comments now, so we can see what your thoughts are. I see that Julie's here, Catherine's here, Robin is here. Hi, you guys. And let's see, Marilee. So who all is here, and what questions do you have about CBD? We'll take whatever questions that you send in to us. It might take a few minutes.
Sure, I'll comment on the use of the tincture. I recommend that when people first start with CBD, that they take the tincture or the gel caps. You don't really need to do both. They both do the same thing. But if you take the tincture or the gel cap once in the morning and then once at night before you go to bed, do that for about 2 weeks every day. Don't miss. So you'll get a buildup of CBD in your system. And within that 2-week period of time, you will know whether CBD works for you or not. So it's a really good short test to find out. You don't have to keep taking and hoping. Yeah, it'll have a significant effect on you within a couple of weeks if you just try that.
So then what you're saying is if you take it and it doesn't work, if you don't see any results in 2 weeks, you might not get results from it at all.
Right. Yeah, you would know within 2 weeks whether you're going to get results, and you can increase your dosage somewhat and the rest of it. But it usually once in the morning and once at night, people will have a significant effect from it if it's going to work. And then what I suggest is after 2 weeks of taking it twice a day, try cutting back to once a day, maybe before bed if you have trouble sleeping, or if you have anxiety, maybe in the morning, because it definitely helps with anxiety. And it also helps significantly with people for sleep. Restless leg syndrome, another number of people take it for just that problem.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It does help with my I raised my hand. Restless leg syndrome. I'd forgotten about that.
Yeah,
Oh my
yeah,
gosh.
a lot of
Um,
people. Yeah.
what does Julie say? Julie says that I have been using CBD salve on my knees twice a day. Would it be to my advantage to use the capsules instead?
The CBD on your knees, for example, if there's pain in your knees, probably from arthritis or whatever. But the salve is like a really different thing. The salve, what it is it's sending CBD right into the spot where the pain is, but it's not doing a whole lot for inflammation in your system. So if you have inflammation in your system that is causing problems, you're better off to add the tincture or the capsules to it for a while and see if it changes. It's not particularly difficult or expensive to just try it once for a couple of weeks and see if it works for you or not. And it's the best way to find out. So generally, that's what I encourage people to try both. And then whatever works, keep doing it. Whatever doesn't work, stop doing it.
Right. She says she's bone on bone. So
Yeah, yeah.
the capsules might help.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and because I know that with my Aunt Sandy, she discovered that she all she wanted was the salve. And so when she bought a combo pack, she gave me the tincture and she kept the salve. And then she realized she really likes the capsules.
Mm, yeah.
She really does, because it keeps everything level. So the pain in her back doesn't spike as high,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So she knows when she needs it for her back with the salve, but it keeps it more level, and she sleeps better too. So
Yeah, I don't think the salve particularly reduces inflammation throughout the body. So the source of your inflammation that's coming into your joints that are hurting is not being affected particularly by the salve. The salve is taking care of it right where it hurts, but not the source.
right, right. So thank you, Julie, for your questions. And
Thanks.
then this is from Robin. She says, I didn't understand about hemp before, so thanks for the explanation. I have
Good.
some CBD oil. Can I just put it on my arms when they ache? Does the oil expire?
I don't. If it's CBD oil from me, it's one thing. If it's not from me, probably the best thing to do, and I offer this to anybody who wants to take a picture of the front and back labels, everything it says on the label, and then you can text it or email it to me, and I will give you feedback on what's in there, because frequently um, you might, if it doesn't say to put it on your body in the information for it, then I'd want to know what's in it before I did that. So I wouldn't necessarily do what's not on the label unless I got a chance to look at it.
Right. And I'm sorry, Brian, because that's my fault.
Yeah,
because I know that the only thing that was in those capsules
right.
were CBD oil and extra virgin olive oil in the ones that I was taking. So I knew that was just those two
Yeah,
ingredients, and neither one of those items were
right.
going to hurt me. But you're right, it's kind of like we have to be careful with that. Um,
Yeah.
and as far as it expiring, would it expire?
Well, they CBD is generally kept in a bottle that's kind of dark colored because sunlight degrades it. And so it'll degrade over time if it's exposed to the atmosphere. So if the product that you're talking about is exposed for the atmosphere, if it's something's a year old, then I would be kind of think more carefully about it. If you've been using it for years, it's been opened for a year, that's a lot. So
Yeah.
if it's
So
been lying around, I wouldn't do it.
and so and so they could just take a picture of their CBD that
Right.
they have front and back, all the label and stuff,
Yeah.
and just send it to your email address
Yeah.
and ask you questions or
Yeah.
have
People enjoy doing that. I like I do it as spare time thing. I go around in stores and things and look at labels because for me, the labels marketing wise can be very powerful, but I'm looking for some specific things that I pick up really quickly. And most of what you see, even in a drugstore, is not particularly helpful.
right.
They're not particularly good for you.
So then we know that we have pretty strict regulations on everything here in the United States for CBD. And is it legal in all 50 states?
There may be still a couple of states that have a problem with it, but I haven't actually checked recently because I never hear anybody who is from a state where they're having a problem with. I ship it all over the country, and so I've never had any problem with it. But I should look it up and see because you've asked me this before in front of millions of people, and I don't know the answer. Great.
Millions of people. Oh, I wish I had millions of people watching
You're
me.
famous, Gail. You're famous. Come on.
Wouldn't that be a blast to have millions
Yeah,
of people watching
yeah,
me? Yeah.
yeah.
So if you will go ahead and take a look, you'll see that we only have two hearts and thumbs up. Come
Come
on,
on.
you guys, get me some hearts out there. Give me a little bit of loving and Brian, some loving too by
Yeah,
hitting
yeah.
those.
You don't care about that from me.
I do.
Want to be
So one of the things that I've always enjoyed about Brian is he's easy to talk to. Oh, we got three. Thanks. He's easy to talk to. He's honest. He'll give you every paper that he has read. He'll give you, he has a whole bibliography list pretty much of the research, the white papers that he has read and all the research he's done. He'll steer you to a source of information, to get more information to see if you can find why and what you need to do for yourself to help with pain relief. But I can tell you from the members of our community who have um, who have who have used Brian as a resource and who have gotten product from Brian, that many of them have had results, and they actually will tell me, "Oh yeah, he's in my budget," or whatever. I got to keep that because what they're finding, and this is what I love about CBD, is it helps decrease pain, and it is actually protective of the stomach lining and things like
Mm,
that because it has terpenes and stuff
mhm,
in it that help protect the stomach lining rather than something like ibuprofen, or Tylenol that causes damage over long term.
mm.
And so you have all kinds of research that you can share with people on this type of a live feed. I'm not going to pull up all that research and stuff
Sure.
like that because it would be too difficult for everybody to get it. But hopefully somebody will reach out to you, send you an email. If you'll notice in the notes here, we have included Brian's email address, his home phone number. He says, "What do you say? You're old and ugly, and nobody's going to stalk you." So he
Yeah.
gives you
Yeah.
his phone
Wait,
number.
yeah, like nobody's stalking me.
Nobody's
I
stalking.
wish someone would.
So
My wife
so
would
I'm
work on
surprised.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, that he shares his phone number,
Mhm.
and he also shares the Calendly link if you just want to make an appointment with them and click on it, and he's willing to talk.
Yep.
As you can tell, I know him and he knows me, and so if you have questions and you want to ask me a question about getting a hold of him, but I do know that Brian has helped many members of our community, myself included, um, get some relief from some of the lipedema symptoms or just everyday stresses of life. And with that, I want to say thank you very much, Brian, for coming on tonight.
It's great.
And I'm glad that even though you got kicked out for a bit, Catherine
Yeah.
showed up.
That's nice. Catherine helped out. Thanks, Catherine.
Yep, kicked you back on.
We do
And
fireside chats. We do fireside chats, you and I,
We
And
do.
you send that information out to the community. And so if you hear about one of those, that's a maybe 20 minutes or a half hour of me going through all of the details of the different information that I have from white papers and things, and basic things about what you kind of want to know about CBD. So that would be good to.
Right. That's true.
Yeah.
And you can ask Bryan if you throw him an email and you say, when is your next, ask him when is next. We call it fireside chat, pain management fireside chat.
Mhm.
Um, and he has he that's where a lot of this information is presented more in a group setting where we're all in a Zoom meeting, and
Mm.
he presents information at that point too. So with that said, we're going to it's 40 minutes later. We're
Oh.
going to go ahead and end this broadcast. I know, right? It just blew by. I thought it was going to be like 25 minutes. Uh, um, uh, at here at Lipedema Simplified, we really appreciate everything everybody does. We know that it is a collective. It's what they call it, swarm. It's swarm intelligence. It's a hive here. We have all kinds of information. Next week, I do believe I'm going to be talking to the lovely Siobhan Huggins. Do you want in here, Catherine? Okay. She's in the back. She's backstage, and I wanted to know if she wanted in. Um, but I want you guys all to know, and I'm sure Bryan, here at Lipedema Simplified, we want you all to know you are not alone, and there's hope, and we care deeply. Thank you so much for being here tonight.